Hello, welcome back to another episode Sport Chat, the BJ Show. This episode, Aiden and I will share round 17 and 18 will also include round 18 AFL ladder will be shared by Aiden. Let's get it underway, starting with round 17. BJ, take it away with the first game. Friday night footy under lights at the MCG for Collingwood versus Essendon, which these teams played back in April on ASNAC Day, which was a draw. I will share quarter by quarter and my best players for each team. First quarter, great start by Collingwood with 5 goals and Essendon with 2 goals. Quarter time, Collingwood led the way by 15 points. Second quarter, great quarter by Essendon with 4 goals to Collingwood with another 3 goals for the quarter. We made it to the half-time break. Collingwood led the way by 8 points. Could Essendon reply to the second half? We had to the third quarter, which was all Essendon with 4 goals and Collingwood no goals for the quarter. Three-quarter time, Essendon led the way by 17 points. We come now to the final quarter. Could we have Collingwood come home with the win, or is Essendon going to hold on to the win from three-quarter time? Final quarter, it was Collingwood kicked 4 goals, which was better, and Essendon with just the 1 goal for the quarter. Well done on the win to Essendon on Friday night at the MCG in front of your Essendon fans. You need the win to get back into the top 4. Collingwood another lost. Can't have this if you want to make back-to-back. This was the win. Collingwood need to stay in the hunt for the finals. Head up, play well next week against Geelong. Now I am going to share the best player from Collingwood is still side bottom. Well done on your performance, including 34 disposals, 11 marks, 2 tackles, 128 AFL fantasy and 513 metres gained. Essendon best player is Jai Caldwell. Another great performance, including 30 disposals, 6 marks, 7 tackles, 130 AFL fantasy, 1 goal and 8 clearances. Now heading to Saturday afternoon footy. We now arrived at Marvel Stadium for North Melbourne versus Gold Coast for the first out of 2 Saturday afternoon footy. Game 2, we have North Melbourne versus Gold Coast. What a game. This could be a huge win for Gold Coast, not the best. Great winning away from home. North Melbourne big win in front of your North Melbourne fans. I will now share quarter by quarter and the best player from North Melbourne and Gold Coast. Let's begin the first quarter. Great start by Gold Coast, kick 5 goals to North Melbourne with 3 goals. Quarter time led by Gold Coast, led by 12 points. Second quarter, better quarter by North Melbourne, add on another 5 goals to Gold Coast with 2 goals for the quarter. We come to the half-time break and North Melbourne led the way by 6 points. This could be anyone's to win. We began as we head into the second half. Third quarter, starting with North Melbourne, add on 3 goals to Gold Coast with 2 goals for the quarter. Three-quarter time led by North Melbourne by 13 points. Could Gold Coast have the chance to win, or is it North Melbourne holding on another win? Final quarter, Gold Coast add on 3 goals. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to get the win. North Melbourne adds on another 2 goals and holding on. Big win at home in front of your North Melbourne supporters. I'm going to share best player from North Melbourne and Gold Coast. We start with North Melbourne player Colby McKercher, including 123 AFL fantasy, 37 disposals, 6 mark and 666 metres gained. Now sharing Gold Coast best player. Noah Anderson, including 103 AFL fantasy, 1 goal, 30 disposals, 6 marks, 3 clearances and 651 metres gained. We are heading on the plane from Melbourne to Adelaide. Heading to Adelaide Oval for Port Adelaide versus Western Bulldogs. Let's get onto the plane right now. We have arrived in Adelaide, and we have also arrived at Adelaide Oval. Game 3, we come to the second Saturday afternoon footy, Port Adelaide versus Western Bulldogs. I'm going to share quarter by quarter. First quarter, Port Adelaide started well with 5 goals and not great by Western Bulldogs, kicked no goals for the quarter. Second quarter, Port Adelaide add on another 5 goals like the first quarter, and Western Bulldogs did better add on with 3 goals for the quarter and for the first half. We come to half-time break. Port Adelaide led the way by 44 points. Could Western Bulldogs have a big second half? Third quarter, not lots of goals for the quarter. Port Adelaide with 2 goals and Western Bulldogs with 1 goal for the quarter. Three-quarter time, Port Adelaide led by 52 points. Could we have an upset by the Western Bulldogs? Come from 52 points from three-quarter time. Let's now find out who comes home with the win. Final quarter, good quarter by Western Bulldogs, add on 4 goals to make it 6th August 1954. It wasn't an easy road trip to Adelaide and win. Heads up and play well next week against Carlton. Port Adelaide, well done on the win. Needed the win to stay in the hunt for the finals. These are the games you need to perform well in front of your Port Adelaide fans. Best of luck next week against Gold Coast. Heading back onto the plane from Adelaide to back to Melbourne. Made it back into Melbourne. Now heading on to the train from Melbourne to Geelong. It's cold and it's footy weather. We have arrived in Geelong at GWS Stadium for Geelong hosting Hawthorn. Could Hawthorn get another win and continue a great performance from the last few rounds, or is Geelong too good in Geelong? Let's begin. I also going to share quarter by quarter. Game 4 we have, as I said before, we have arrived in Geelong as Hawthorn takes the road trip down to GWS Stadium. Now I share quarter by quarter. First quarter, Geelong started well as they add on 4 goals to Hawthorn with 1 goal for the opening quarter. Second quarter, Geelong add on another 5 goals to Hawthorn, was a bit better, add on 3 goals for the quarter. Half-time break, Geelong led the way by 34 points. Could Hawthorn come from 34 points and win, or is Geelong too good in front of the Geelong fans? Third quarter, Geelong add on 4 goals and Hawthorn add on 3 goals. Three-quarter time, 42 points led to Geelong. Could Hawthorn come from 42 points and win away from home, or is Geelong too good in front of Geelong supporters? Final quarter, 3 goals to Geelong and Hawthorn add on 2 goals for the quarter. Well done to Geelong winning the win, and Hawthorn good efforts. Heads up and play well next week against Fremantle. I am now going to share Geelong's best player and Hawthorn. We start with Geelong's player Jamie Cameron. Well done on your performance, including 4 goals, 102 AFL fantasy, 8 marks and 485 metres gains. We come to Hawthorn best player Dylan Moore. Well done on your performance, including 2 goals, 26 disposals, 4 marks and 6 tackles. Let's get back onto the train from Geelong. We have made it back in Melbourne. Now it's time to head on to the plane from Melbourne to Sydney. We have 2 Saturday night footy. We come to the first Saturday night footy. We are in Sydney. Made it to west of Sydney for GWS versus Carlton. GWS need the win as well in front of their fans. High scoring game which I love. I be sharing quarter by quarter as well. Game 5, we have GWS versus Carlton at NG Stadium. What a game this was. As always, I will now share quarter by quarter. Starting with the first quarter, awesome starts with Carlton kicking 8 goals and GWS with 3 goals. Quarter time led to Carlton by 33 points. Second quarter, it was huge by GWS add on 7 goals and Carlton add on 2 goals for the quarter. Half-time break led by Carlton by 2 points. Could GWS win in front their home fans, or is Carlton take away the win on the road? Third quarter, great quarter by GWS add on another 7 goals and Carlton add on another 1 goal. Quarter time led to GWS by 36 points. Could Carlton come home with the win, or is GWS coming home with the win? Final quarter, Carlton adds on 5 goals and GWS with 1 for the quarter. GWS big win against very good team in Carlton. This was the win that GWS are in the hunt for the finals this season. Carlton another lost heads up, it did slip away in the final quarter. Heads up, Carlton play well against Western Bulldogs next week. I'm going to share best player from GWS and Carlton. Starting with GWS best player Kieran Briggs, well done on your game, including 136 AFL fantasy, 22 disposals, 9 tackles, 3 marks, 40 hitouts and 10 clearances. Now have Carlton's best player from Carlton, Patrick Cripps, another great game including 105 AFL fantasy, 33 disposals, 4 tackles, 11 clearances and 2 goals. Well done to Kieran Briggs from GWS and Patrick Cripps from Carlton. Heading back onto the plane as now travel to Perth, and we head to Optus Stadium for Fremantle versus Richmond for the second Saturday night footy. We made it to Perth at Optus Stadium. I will now share quarter by quarter. Let began with the first quarter. Fremantle good start, 4 goals, and Richmond with 2 goals for the opening quarter. Second quarter, Fremantle with 3 goals to Richmond with 1 goal for quarter. We come to the half-time break and Fremantle led the way by 18 points, which is 3 goals. Could Richmond do well in second half, or Fremantle is too good at the end? Let's begin the third quarter with Fremantle add on 7 goals to Richmond 2 goals for the quarter. 3-quarter time, Fremantle led by 46 points. Could we see upset? Let's find out as we now head to the final quarter. Final quarter, Fremantle with 3 goals and Richmond with 2 goals for the quarter. Good effect to Richmond. This is a rebuilding season. It's going to take some time to get back into the finals. Adelaide, North Melbourne, Hawthorn all went through a rebuilding season. Keep heads up and good luck next week against GWS. Now it's time for Sunday afternoon footy. We got 3 games for round 17. We have arrived back in Melbourne, and we head to the MCG for Melbourne versus West Coast for the first Sunday afternoon footy. I am now going to share quarter by quarter. First quarter, great start by Melbourne, kicked 7 goals and West Coast adds 1 goal for the opening quarter. Second quarter, Melbourne add another 4 goals and West Coast kicked 2 more goals for the second quarter. Half-time break, Melbourne 49 points. Third quarter, both Melbourne and West Coast add on 3 goals each for the quarter. 3-quarter time, Melbourne led, they again 49 points lead like half-time. Final quarter, Melbourne adds on 3 goals and West Coast add on 2 goals. Well done to Melbourne, the win, and West Coast good effect, do well next well against Brisbane. Now time to share best player from Melbourne. Player is Trent Rivers. Well done on the win and your performance, including 123 AFL fantasy, 29 disposals, 9 marks, 5 tackles and 7 clearances. West Coast best player is Tim Kelly. Well done on your performance, including 23 disposals, 4 tackles, 3 marks and 7 clearances. Staying in Melbourne as we go from MCG to Marvel Stadium for St Kilda hosting Sydney. We know bad kicking is bad scoring. Well, Sydney, well, you kick out of the scoring 16 behinds. Let's now do quarter by quarter. First quarter, both St Kilda and Sydney kicked 2 goals each for the opening quarter. Second quarter, great quarter by Sydney at 6 goals and St Kilda with 2 goals for the second quarter. Half-time break, Sydney led the way by 25 points. Third quarter, St Kilda awesome quarter, kicked 5 goals and Sydney add on 3 goals for the quarter. 3-quarter time, 21 points led to Sydney. Could they have the win or St Kilda coming from behind? Final quarter, St Kilda kick all the goals for the quarter with 4 goals and Sydney, well, not great to end the game with 5 behind. Well done to St Kilda winning the game and coming from 21 points behind at 3-quarter time. Now time to share best player from St Kilda and Sydney. Starting with Jack Steele from St Kilda. Well done on your performance, including 112 AFL fantasy, 28 disposals, 7 marks, 7 tackles and 4 clearances. Sydney best player is Isaac Heaney. Well done on your performance, including 105 AFL fantasy, 24 disposals, 5 marks, 4 tackles and 2 goals. Time once again to head back onto the plane from Melbourne to Brisbane. For the final game for round 17, we have Brisbane versus Adelaide. We made it to Brisbane for the final game for round 17, and we the third Sunday afternoon footy. Before we head to a break, I will share my thoughts for Brisbane versus Adelaide. Let's begin as we head to quarter by quarter. First quarter, good start. Brisbane kicked 4 goals and Adelaide with 2 goals for the opening quarter. Second quarter, Brisbane add on another 4 goals and Adelaide also add on another 4 goals. As marked the half-time break and Brisbane led the way by 15 points. Have Adelaide what it takes to win away from home, or is Brisbane too good and better on the day? Let's begin the second half. Third quarter, Brisbane adds another 4 goals and Adelaide with another 3 goals. We now head into 3-quarter time with Brisbane led the way by 20 points, 5 more points than half-time. Final quarter, Adelaide with 4 goals and Brisbane with 2 goals. Well done to Brisbane winning the game. Played well against Adelaide. Adelaide heads up, play well against very good team in Brisbane. Good luck next week against St Kilda. Now it's as I share my best player from Brisbane and Adelaide. I be starting with Brisbane. Best player is Josh Dunkley, 140 AFL fantasy, 1 goal, 35 disposals, 8 marks, 5 tackles and 7 clearances. Well done on your performance, Josh Dunkley. Now I'll be sharing Adelaide's Crows best player. Rory Laird, 97 AFL fantasy, 27 disposals, 5 marks, 5 tackles and 6 clearances. We're heading into a break, and when we come back, Aiden will share his thoughts for round 17. Welcome back to the Sport Chat BJ show. Aiden, take it away for your thoughts for round 17.
Round 17, Friday night football at the MCG. The Collingwood Magpies versus the Essendon Bombers to get us underway here in round 17. We'll go quarter by quarter as always to start. In the first quarter, Collingwood 5-2 to Essendon's 2-5. Second quarter, Collingwood 8-4, Essendon 6-8. Third quarter, Collingwood 8-7, so 3 points in that quarter for Collingwood to Essendon's 4-12. Essendon go 10-12, so adding 4 goals for that quarter. And in the final term, Collingwood 12-8, not enough to overcome the Bombers 13-14. This was a game that Collingwood needed to win. This was a game that Essendon needed to win, and it was the Bombers who got the job done here at the MCG. This is a turning point for their season. This is a game that they can hopefully build off as we come to the final 6 weeks of the year. Collingwood, those premiership aspirations are slipping slowly, further and further away. I just don't think Collingwood have the legs to go this year. They might sneak into the 8 though, you just don't know. But for the Bombers, a much needed win to keep their top 4 hopes in the game. And another week, another win for the Bombers. Now time for Saturday afternoon football. We have 2 games in the early window as we'll have for the rest of the season. The first one was North Melbourne versus Gold Coast from Marvel Stadium. And ladies and gentlemen, this game was won by North Melbourne. They have got their second win of the year in a very up and down, hard-fought game. Quarter by quarter we go. First quarter, North Melbourne 3-1 to Gold Coast 5-1. In the second quarter, North Melbourne ended on 8-3 and Gold Coast on 7-3, with North taking a 1-goal lead into the main break. Coming out of the break, North really looked to put the hammer down as they extend to 11-7, Gold Coast to 9-6. In the final term, Gold Coast nearly came back with a comeback, but it was North holding on 13-9, 87 to Gold Coast 12-11, 83. A 4-point win for the Kangaroo, and a win that was much needed for them. As for Gold Coast, this is a team who cannot get it right away. I don't think they're going to get it right in the finals. If they get it right in the finals, look out, they could trip a few over. They are a good side at home, but they need to get a couple of home finals if I think they're going to be any danger to the premiership. So well done to North Melbourne. And as for the Gold Coast, it's another week on the road, another loss on the road. The second game in our Saturday early window, we have the Power and the Doggies from the Adelaide Oval. And we go to the quarter by quarter. Port Adelaide 5-2 to start. Hot start by the Power. The Doggies only managing 2 points. In the second term, Port had another 5 goals to go to 10-5. And the Doggies finally get on the board with 3 of their own, going to 3-3. The game looks all but done at this point, but we'll go into the second half. Port Adelaide, in a really hard-fought, ground-out quarter, added 2 to go to 12-8, and the Doggies added 1 to go to 4-4. In the final term, the game was pretty much dead. The Power ended 15-12 and the Doggies ended 8-6. This was a game for Port Adelaide to show what they are made of. The Power, we just don't know who they are. We can say the same about the Doggies. I'll get to them in a second. But the Power, nobody knows if they're real or not. And these are the games that you just think, Port's real, Port are genuine. This is Port Adelaide, they're going to be dangerous. And then some weeks you just think they're not. But are they real? Are they not? We'll find out as the season comes to the close. Same for the Doggies. This is another team who had a lot of high hopes for them during the season. And they've just kind of gone up and down, take win, loss as they go along. Never really been able to amount any streaks, especially streak in the positive direction. And it's another hard loss for them down in the Adelaide Oval, but they'll go into Melbourne next week to hopefully get a win. The Saturday window was the Cats and the Hawks from the Geelong Stadium at Cardinia Park. This is a game that I think both teams had to win, much like all the other games we're seeing, especially in the early window today and the Friday night game we had this week. But this was another one-way game. It was old Geelong. When you go out to Geelong, you know the Cats are going to be up, and the Hawks did not bring it. Quarter by quarter we go. Geelong 4-5 to start. Hawthorn only managing 1 goal, 1. In the second term, the Cats add 5 going to 9-7. Hawks add 3 to go to 4-3. Coming out of the main break, we go 13-11 for the Cats and 7-5 for the Hawks. And then to finish it off, the game's pretty much over by this point anyway, but we have another quarter to play. Cats going 16-14 and the Hawks going 9-5. So Geelong, are they dangerous? Are they real? I don't know. I think they are. But they have to be able to show it. Not just at Cardinia Park, but when you go to the MCG, when you go away, got to be able to put the results on the board there. And as for the Hawks, this is an absolute heat check. You may have been the team in form, but you are playing the Cats at their own ground. And you need to be able to put results up even when you're away. I know Hawthorn will go out for the Tasmania and win a few games over there every now and then, but they've still got to get the job done in Melbourne, on the road, and down in Geelong. Time for our first first of two night games in round 17. It's GWS and Carlton from NG Stadium in West Sydney. We'll go quarter by quarter. GWS kicked 3-1 to open their score, and Carlton in the first quarter, however, kicked 8-4. We go to the second quarter. GWS adds 7-1, going to 10-2. Carlton only managing 2 straight to go to 10-4. Carlton ahead by 2 points at half-time when this game should have probably been well over at this stage. Going into the second half, it was the Giants who took control. They add 7-4 in the third, going to 17-6 to the Blues, adding 1 goal, 2 to go to 11-6. In the final quarter, though, Carlton come back hard. They add 5-2 to the Giants 1-2. So, it ends GWS 18-8, 116. Carlton 16-8, 104. The Giants, are they back? Is the Orange Tsunami back in town? A performance like this definitely says so. We don't know. There's still another 7 weeks to go in the season. The Blues are starting to look a little shaky. I know they're a game ahead of third, but it's little losses like this that keep you in position. At the end, when teams are closing in on you, you got to get these results. And this is a game that the Blues should have had dead and buried by half-time. Time for our second game on the Saturday night of round 17. We're down in Perth for the Fremantle Football Club versus the Richmond Football Club. And what a game this was shaping up to be. Fremantle trying to keep their top 4 spot alive. Richmond just trying to get some premiership points on the table. We go to the first quarter. Fremantle kicked 4 goals, 3. Richmond kicked 2 straight. Second quarter, Fremantle add 3-2 to go to 7-5. And the Tigers add 1-5. At halftime, Fremantle led by 4 goals. Into the second half now, the game starts to really pull away from the Tigers. Fremantle go to 13-6. Adding 6-1, and Richmond managed 2-3 to go to 5-8. In the final quarter, this game was dead and buried already, but Fremantle 16-9, 105 their final. Richmond 7 goal 12, 54 their final. Great win by the Dockers at home, but it's at home. You've got to be able to show this on the road as well. And they've got a tough away schedule in these last couple of games. They've got Hawthorn in Tasmania next week, and they need to be able to win that one down there. Richmond, their season's over. There's not much that can be said about Richmond. And the rumours are starting to swell in terms of Martin and Bolton and many of the other stars. Are they staying? Are they going? Baker's another one. So this is time for them to put up, show these guys, these young guys have to come out and show their veterans what they're made of. Otherwise, it could be a long, long time for Richmond to wait for another premiership. Because these young guys at Richmond, I think there is some level of talent there, but I just don't think they have what it takes to run with the 2010s Tigers. We head to Sunday footy now in Melbourne for Melbourne Demons versus the West Coast Eagles. Melbourne absolutely looking to get some wins on the board to keep their top 8 hopes alive. West Coast is trying to get out of that bottom 5. Quarter by quarter we go. Melbourne start the game hot, 7 goal 3 to West Coast 1 goal 2. Second quarter, Melbourne go 4-2 and go to 11 goal 5. West Coast go 2-2 going to 3 goal 4. Now, there's not much of a contest left at this point unless West Coast can pull something out of the bag. But we'll find out as we head to the second half. Melbourne adding 3-4 in that quarter. So a bit of a shaky quarter for Melbourne, but it's okay. West Coast also only able to add 3-4. Final quarter, Melbourne go 3-1 to go to 17-10, 1-12. West Coast go 2-2 again to go to 8-10, 58. What a showing by Melbourne. This is what they needed to absolutely show the rest of the league. They are still a team to be reckoned with, even without Christian Petracca. They have got a lot of talented players there, a lot of underrated guys as well that I think are starting to come through and starting to show what their true value is. We're talking about guys like Rivers, guys like Van Rooyen, guys like Salem are coming back, guys like Langdon, he had a good game as well for Melbourne. And there's these guys who need to be able to put the results out there when they don't have Petracca and they don't have a lot of their main guy. For West Coast, it's another week, it's another loss, and I just don't know when the end's coming for them. Another 2 years and I give them a shot. But 2 years is a long way away in football. Hell, 2 weeks is a long way away in football. And they just got to get to next week first. West Coast season's over. Start preparing for 2025. We once again head across Melbourne to Marvel Stadium for the Saints and the Swans. Sydney, I've called them the Premiers-elect multiple times already and I still think that's the case. But we'll go to the quarter by quarter. And first quarter, St Kilda and Sydney both kicked 2 goals to end that quarter on 14 points apiece at quarter time. In the second term, though, the Swans had it slightly more their way, St Kilda adding 2 goals to, while the Swans add 6 goals 3. We come out of half time now. St Kilda start to put the foot down, going 5 straight in that quarter, ending on 9-4. The Swannies adding 3-6 of their own to go to 11-11. And in the final term, it's again St Kilda going 4-2 to go to 84 to Sydney's 11-16. So only 5 points in the final quarter for the Swannies. 82, St Kilda the winners by 2 points at a cracker in Marvel Stadium. Well, even the Premiers-elect are not immune to having nights where bad kicking is bad football. And they've shown that a little bit the last couple of weeks, first against the Dockers and now against the Saints. I'll still call them the Premiers-elect because they have the talent to get over the line, but I'm not as confident on that now. As for St Kilda, this was an absolute shock of a win. No one saw this coming. If we thought Fremantle didn't have a chance against the Swannies last week, St Kilda had even less of a chance. But they got the job done and they're starting to improve and show what they've got. So hopefully they can finish strong and have a good run into 2025. The final game of round 17, we move all the way up to Queensland. We're in Brisbane at the Gabba for the Lions and the Crows. We'll go quarter by quarter, just like we always do. First quarter, the Lions 4-2, the Crows 2-2. In the second quarter, Brisbane 4 more, 8-6 for the Lions. Crows add 4 of their own, 6-3. Coming out of the main break, 4 more for the Lions, 12-7. They end the third term. Crows add 3 this term, going to 9-5. In the final term, the Lions put the game to bed, going 14-13. 2-6 in the final term to the Crows, 4-3. To finish off the game, 97-86 winners. Brisbane are coming back. Brisbane want their premiership. They should have had it last year, but they came that close and they didn't finish the job. So this year they are hungry for a premiership. I think there's a lot of teams ahead of them. I definitely put Sydney still ahead of them. I definitely put the Blues still ahead of them. There's a lot of others I probably put ahead of them. The Cats, I'd say they're pretty even with. Dockers, I think they've got the measure of the Dockers. Doggies, I don't know where the Doggies are going to go, but you face the Doggies on a good day, you could be in a bit of trouble. The Crows, again, just another wasted opportunity. And they know they can hang with these top sides. It's only a 2-goal loss for the Crows against the Lions this time around, after the draw earlier in the season at Adelaide Oval. But they're not putting these games away and getting the premiership points, which means they're not qualifying for the final. You have 24 weeks to qualify for the top 8 spot, and that is all you have to do. Get in and then play in September. But Crows, they were so close last year. Things didn't go their way. Move on. Let's go again in 2025. That should be the motto for the Crows. This season is done. Last season is also done. You can only now look to the future, and the future is 2025.
Aiden share his thoughts. Audio recorded. We're heading into a break, and when we come back, Aiden will share his thoughts for round 18. Welcome back to Sport Chat. Aiden, time to share your thoughts for round 18.
We now go to round 18, and as always, we start on the Friday night with a big blockbuster game. The Collingwood Football Club and the Geelong Football at the MCG. This is what footy is meant for. Underlight the big games. Here we go. First quarter, we go Collingwood 4-5, Geelong 3-5. Second quarter, Collingwood add 2-3 to go to 6-8. Geelong add 4-1 to go to 7-6 and take the lead into the main break. Coming out of the break, the game stayed very, very close, very, very even throughout this game. Collingwood go 2-2 to go to 8-10. Geelong go 3-3 to go to 10-9. Geelong just starting to put the foot down a little bit in the second half as we head into the final quarter. Collingwood go 2-1 to go 10-11. The Cats, however, go 3-4, 13-13, running out 20-point winners 91-71. Collingwood are starting to look very, very shaky. I'm starting to question if Collingwood are even going to finish inside the top 8 at this point. The logjam is there. 1 loss and you fall. 2 losses and you're in big danger. And Collingwood are right now in big danger. Talking about danger, he had a night out against Collingwood. What a man he is, Patrick Dangerfield, helping the Cats across the line as they get that 20-point win, and a run at the top 8 is in store for the Cat as they will fall into the top 4 this week. Second game on the docket for round 18 and the first on the Saturday. It's the Swans and the Kangas from the SCG. This game was absolutely Sydney from start to finish. North had a sniff early, but the Swans took it away and ran away with it. First quarter, Sydney 3-4 to North 3-2. Second quarter, Swans add 7, going to 10-10. North only add 1 to go to 4-4. In the second half, the third quarter, the Swans kicked 6-4 to go to 16-14. North adding 3 to go to 7-5. Then in the final quarter, the Swans added another 4 and finish 20-18. North add 2 to finish 9-5. So the final score there, Sydney 2018 138 to North Melbourne 9-5-59. Absolute carnage at the SCG from the Premiers-elect, and this game could have been a lot worse if Sydney had their kicking boots on. Luckily for North, they didn't, and it only showed up in the final as a 79-point win. For North, this is bad. They come off the big win last week, they've been testing teams the month prior, and they fall back into old habits. Or maybe Sydney were just better on the day. We know how good the Swans can be, and we know how poor North can be sometimes. But come on, North, you had a win last week, you've been testing teams, and then you show up and do this. This is why you're not going to get anywhere for the next 3 years, because you've got to back these results in. You could have had a whole month of football. Pretty much the whole of June, North Melbourne could have won all 4 of those games easily. They didn't, and now they're falling back into old habit. Second game in the Saturday early window was the Hawks and the Dockers from Launceston Oval down in Tasmania. This was a very back and forth game, a very even game, but we know what Hawthorn was like when they get to go down to their favourite place in the world, not Hawthorn, but Tasmania. First quarter, they actually were behind at the end, kicking 2-3 to Fremantle's 3-2. Second quarter, they come back into the game. They add four goals as they go to 6-6. Fremantle add 2 goals to go to 5-5. Again, another close half. Second half was none the different. Hawthorn add 2-2 to go to 8-8. Fremantle have add 4-6 and go to 9-11. Fremantle looked like they had the game done at this point, but Hawks come back. 5-goal, 1 final term to Fremantle's 1-goal, 3 final term. Means the Hawks are the winners 13-9-87 to Fremantle's 10-14-74. Now, Fremantle are looking like they're going to fall off again. This is the good old Fremantle that I love. The team that can't back up what it says. But they've got to be able to do it. They have to win games in places that they're not comfortable. That's what it's about being a top 8 side, and definitely what it's about being a top 4 side. As for the Hawks, I said they had the heat check last week. Well, maybe not. Maybe the streak was back on. Maybe they're back in the game. Chase down a top 8 spot as they beat the Dockers down in Tasmania. This is an opportunity now. Hawthorn have got back on the horse and they steady and make that run. They've got 5 weeks left. Make a good run and see where you are at the end of August. We head to the twilight game on the Saturday of round 18 now for the Western Bulldogs and the Blues in another hotly contested game with lots of premiership points on the line both ways. Here we go. Carlton, the first quarter of this game was very, very weak by the standards of both of these sides. The Doggies only managing 7 points, no goal. Carlton only 3-4 in response. Second quarter, the Doggies put on an absolute show, 7 goals, 2 in their favour to go to 7-9. Blues with 4-2 to go to 7-6. So the Doggies take a 3-point lead into the main break. The second half comes and the Doggies start to show what they're made of. They go 4 goals, 5, go to 11-14, and the Blues 3 goals, 4 to go to 10-10. The final quarter, the Doggies just put the foot down again. 3-2 to the Doggies, they end 14-16, and the Blues 2-4 adding to their score, and they end at 12-14. Final scores, Doggies 14-16, 100. The Blues 12-14, 86. The Doggies. And I said this last week. I don't know what Doggies are around because sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. And they were brilliant today. They had a bad one. They weren't brilliant, but they were better. And that's all you've got to be. You don't have to be brilliant. You just got to be better. As they were better than the Blues on the day. As for Carlton, this is the second loss in a row they've had in games they really should have won to cement that top 2 spot. The gap's starting to close on them. 3 weeks ago, they were a couple of games ahead of the teams in the rest of the top 4, such as the Dockers and the Bombers. But that gap is really starting to close now, so they're going to have to rectify that in the final couple of weeks of the year. First of the Saturday night games in round 18 is the Crows and the Saints from the Adelaide Oval. And St Kilda were the ones to get the hot start. They go 3-3 in the first quarter, the Crows 2-1. Second quarter though, the Crows, backed by the crowd, they respond, add 3 goals of their own to go 3-4 for the quarter to 5-5. St Kilda only able to add 1 goal for going to 4-7. After the break, the home crowd started to get behind their boys as the Crows, well, they only managed 1 goal. It was 1 goal 5 to the Saints 1 goal 1. So the forward pressure for the Crows started to tell at this point. As we head to the final quarter, the Crows kicked 4-1 to St Kilda's 1 point. The Crows, season might be over, but they are showing they're still a team that could have been dangerous if they had a run earlier on in the year. And rightly so, they are genuinely a top 8 side, if not a top 4 side. But they needed to have the run early, and they didn't. So now it's 2025. The run is setting up for 2025. Same for St Kilda. They fall away here after the big win against the Swannies. But again, they're another team who are looking to set up for next year, and they need to just start putting results together to get in a good stead so they know where they are come draft time when it comes to the trades and where they sit for 2025. Second game on the Saturday night of round 18 is the Demons and the Bombers from the MCG. This was a game that I thought was going to be quite close, and it was in the first half. Then Melbourne started to show what they're like. Quarter by quarter, we have Melbourne 3-2 in the first quarter. The Bombers respond with 3-3. In the second quarter, Melbourne go 3-4 to go to 6-6. Essendon only able to manage 1 goal 2 to go to 4-5. And then after the halftime break, Melbourne started to pull away and show why they are still a team to mess with. They are going 2 goals in the third quarter, 8-6. Bombers again only 1 goal to 5-7. Final quarter though, both 5-goal quarters for both teams. Melbourne, however, because they had the lead, is going to be the telling factor. 13-6 to Melbourne, their final, as they added their 5 goals, and the Bombers ended on 10-7, adding their 5 goals to run out 84-67 winners. I don't know if it's season over for Melbourne, but a win like this definitely puts them back in contention. As for the Bombers, this is a game that I think they should have won. I think they know they should have won it, and they should be disappointed with themselves because Melbourne didn't have Petraka, Melbourne didn't have Gawn, and they still couldn't get the job done against the Demons. So these are the games you have to win if you're going to be a team in the top 4 or the top 8 come September. Solidify your spot early and rest players. Or make it hard for yourself and have to fight your way in and hold on to your spot at the end. But you don't want to be doing that. You'd much prefer the former than the latter. We will now head to Sunday as we kick off things up on the Gold Coast, the lovely Gold Coast. The Suns and the Power. Here we go, quarter by quarter from the Gold Coast. Gold Coast first quarter kicked 2 goals 4. Port Adelaide kicked 3 goals 2. Second quarter, Gold Coast kicked 6 straight to go to 8-4. Port Adelaide kicked 2-3 as we head into the main break. And we know up in the Gold Coast, it is the wild card for the home team, and they are absolutely proving that against the Power today. But as we come into the third quarter, Gold Coast add 5 goal 2 to go to 13-6. Port also add 5 goal 2 to go to 10-7. The final quarter, Gold Coast only able to add 1 goal 6 to Port's 2 goals 3. So Power got a little bit back, but it's not enough in the end as Gold Coast run out 14-12 96 to 12-10 82 winners. The Gold Coast Suns, if they're in Gold Coast, they're fine. And this is something that I've talked about a lot, is when you're playing at home, and I know up in the Gold Coast it's a huge advantage because of the climate up there, but you've got to look at football as football. Take what you do well at home and put that on display on the road. They need to do that in the last couple of weeks to solidify our final spot. Port Adelaide, again, we don't know what Power there is. There's the good Power from last week that absolutely belted the Doggies, or there's the Power from this week who couldn't hang with the Suns up on the Gold Coast. They need to figure out who they are before it gets too late for them, or it could be looking at 2025 for the Power. The second game on the Sunday, we're back at the MCG. The Tigers and the Giants. We go quarter by quarter. Richmond 3-4 to GWS 4-3 in the first. In the second quarter, Richmond add 3 goals to go to 3 goals 7. GWS add 5-1 to go to 9-4. Into the second half we go, the Giants start to pull away. Richmond are only able to add 2 goals 3, they go to 8-10. GWS add 5 to go to 14-5. And in the final quarter, Richmond get a little bit of a comeback going, but it's not enough to stop the Giants. The Tigers add 4 goals 2 to end 12-12, and the Giants add 3-1 to go to 17-6. So GWS winners 108-84. Richmond, it's definitely season over. It has been for a long time, but it's about what they can do next year. And I think this is a pretty solid game. I think saying GWS are 4 goals better than Richmond, I think I'd absolutely agree with that. So for GWS, I'd almost say, again, good game. I think you're 4 goals better than Richmond. You showed that. You weren't any better, you weren't any worse, but you got the job done and you got the margin that I think I expected you to win by. Now, GWS, the Orange Tsunami is a real thing and it is a dangerous thing. Any team that runs into it, look out. We know how dominant they are in the final. We saw them run over multiple teams in the finals in 2023, but can they do it again in 2024 is the big question. Because I don't know if many teams have seen it coming earlier than expected. Because you can't stop it when it comes. You just got to let it happen. We now have to the final game of round 18. The West Coast Eagles and the Brisbane Lions from Optus Stadium. Brisbane, I think, clear favourites going into this game, and I don't know if they showed their full potential here, the Lions. We'll go quarter by quarter. West Coast 3-2. Brisbane 4-4 in the opening stanza. In the second quarter, West Coast adds 3. They go to 6-3. Brisbane adds 3 as well. They go to 7-7 at the main break. West Coast are definitely hanging in there. And this is the West Coast that needs to show up for the rest of this year and into next year. They add 3 again. They go to 9-4. But Brisbane show their strength and keep 5 on them to go to 12-8. Final quarter, West Coast add 5 to go to 14-9. Brisbane add 4 to finish 16-10. So the final score here was West Coast 14-9, 93. Brisbane 16-10, 106. 13 points. I think that's almost a win for West Coast in a way. They've had a very hard week with, they sacked Adam Simpson and they brought in Jared Schofield to take over. I don't know if it's in the interim or full time, but we'll see after the end of this season. That's a good response for the Eagles. For the Lions, they got the win, they got the job done, but I think they could have shown a lot more and they could have done a lot better. They are definitely a team who are in position to make a run at a premiership this year. So we'll see what they've got in the weeks to come.
Aiden, I'll let you share the AFL ladder after round 18.
And as always, I will run you through the ladder. So, in first place on the ladder is the Sydney Swans on 14 wins, 3 losses, no draws, 56 premiership points and 145.3%. In second place is the Carlton Football Club, 11-6 and no draws, 44 points, 114.1%. Third, Geelong, 11-6, no draws, 44 premiership points, 110.6%. In fourth are the Brisbane Lions, 10-6 and a draw, 42 points and 120%. Fifth, Fremantle, 10-6 and 1 draw, 42 points, 113.1%. Sixth, Essendon, 10-6 and a draw, 42 points, 98.8%. 7th, GWS, 10-7 and no draws, 40 points, 109.8%. 8th, Melbourne, 10-7 no draws, 40 points, 105.5%. 9th, Port Adelaide, 10-7 no draws, 40 points, 103.4%. 10th, Western Bulldogs, 9-8 and no draws, 36 points, 114.9%. 11th, Gold Coast, 9-8 and no draws, 36 points, 106%. 12th, Collingwood, 8-7 and 2 draws, 36 points, 102.9%. 13th, Hawthorn, 9-8, no draws, 36 points, 95.4%. 14th, Adelaide, 6-10 and a draw, 26 points, 105%. 15th, St Kilda, 6-11 and no draws, 24 points, 91.1%. 16th, West Coast, 3-14, no draws, 12 points, 70.3%. 17th, North Melbourne, 2-15, no draws, 8 premiership points, 64.3%. And in last, Richmond, 2-15, no draws, 8 points and 63.2%.
Thank you, Aiden, for your thoughts. After 18 AFL ladder, BJ, tag it away for your thoughts. As we get close to the finals, take it away. BJ Show. Let's begin as we start round 18. We head to the MCG for Friday night footy. We have Collingwood versus Geelong. I'm going to share quarter by quarter. First quarter Collingwood with 4 goals and Geelong 3 goals. Quarter time Collingwood led the way by 6 points. Second quarter Geelong on add another 4 goals and Collingwood add on another 2 goals for the quarter. Half-time break Geelong led by 4 points. Third quarter Geelong on add another 3 goals and Collingwood add on another 2 goals for the quarter. Three-quarter time Geelong led by 11 points. Final quarter Geelong on add another 3 goals and Collingwood add on another 2 goals for the quarter. Well done to Geelong on the win, and Collingwood once again need the win to stay with the final. Good effect and good luck against Hawthorn. Now I am going to share the best player from Collingwood and Geelong. The first best player from Collingwood is John Noble, including 102 AFL fantasy, 28 disposals, 5 marks and 798 metres gained. We come to Geelong best player Tom Stewart, including 113 AFL fantasy, 26 disposals, 9 marks, 4 tackles, 5 clearances and 413 metres gained. Well done on your performance, John Noble from Collingwood and Tom Stewart from Geelong. Heading back on the plane from Melbourne to Sydney. Game 2 we have Sydney hosting North Melbourne. I'm going to share quarter by quarter and the best player Sydney and North Melbourne. First quarter both player Sydney and North Melbourne kicked 3 goals for the opening quarter. Quarter time Sydney led by 2 points. Second quarter Sydney add on 7 goals and North Melbourne 1 goal for the quarter. Half-time break Sydney led the way by 42 points, 7 goals. Third quarter Sydney add on another 6 goals and North Melbourne better quarter add on 3 goals for the quarter. Sydney led by 63 points at 3-quarter time. Final quarter Sydney again adds on another 4 goals and North Melbourne with 2 goals for the quarter. Well done Sydney with win, and North Melbourne heads up play well next week against Carlton. Back on plane from Sydney to Tasmania Launceston. Long travel we have arrived in Tasmania Launceston. We have arrived at University of Tasmania for Hawthorn hosting Fremantle. I am going to share quarter by quarter. First quarter Fremantle 3 goals and Hawthorn 2 goals. Quarter time Fremantle led by 5 points. Second quarter Hawthorn with another 4 goals and Fremantle with 2 for the quarter. Half-time break Hawthorn led by 7 points. Third quarter Fremantle 4 goals and Hawthorn 2 goals. 3-quarter time Fremantle led by 9 points. Could we see Hawthorn coming home with win, or is Fremantle coming home with the win? Final quarter Hawthorn with 5 goals and Fremantle with 1 goal for the quarter. Well done to Hawthorn winning in Tasmania, and Fremantle heads up. Bad luck, never give up all game. Good luck next week against Melbourne. Now heading back onto the plane from Tasmania heading to Melbourne. Back on Melbourne now heading to Marvel Stadium for Western Bulldogs versus Carlton. Could this be an upset for the round? Let's get into this game. Game 4 we have arrived at Marvel Stadium for Saturday Twilight footy as we have Western Bulldogs take on the mighty Carlton Blues. Have we got upset to this game? I'm going to share quarter by quarter right now. First quarter awesome start by Carlton kicks the only 3 goals for the opening quarter, and with Western Bulldogs with no goals, only 7 behinds. Quarter time Carlton led by 15 points at the opening quarter. Second quarter huge response by Western Bulldogs with 7 goals and Carlton kick 4 goals for the quarter. Half-time break Western Bulldogs lead the way by 3 points. Could we see Carlton response in the third quarter, or is the Western Bulldogs too good? Third quarter Western Bulldogs add on another 4 goals for the quarter, and Colin with 3 goals. 3/4 time Western Bulldogs led by 10 points. Could we see Carlton coming home with the win, or is Western Bulldogs coming home with the win? Final quarter Western Bulldogs with 3 goals and Carlton goals for the quarter. Well done Western Bulldogs with the huge win over Carlton. Western Bulldogs needed the win to stay with the final race. Could they make finals? I think yes, they should. Carlton bad luck, this just slipped away in the second half. Carlton needed the win to stay in the top 4. Good luck next week against Day Improvement North Melbourne. I'm going to share the best player from Western Bulldogs and Carlton. We come to the from Western Bulldogs best player, Marcus Bontempelli, including 100 AFL fantasy, 1 goal, 20 disposals, 9 tackles, 8 clearances and 437 metres gained. We come to the Carlton best player, Patrick Cripps, including 127 AFL fantasy, 2 goals, 28 disposals, 8 tackles, 5 marks, 11 clearances and 550 metres gained. Well done to Marcus Bontempelli from Western Bulldogs, and well done to Patrick Cripps from Colin. Time to get back onto the plane from Melbourne to Adelaide. We have arrived for the first out of 2 Saturday night footy. We have Adelaide Crows hosting St Kilda Saints. I'm going to share quarter by quarter. First quarter, good start by St Kilda with 3 goals and Adelaide with 2 goals for the opening quarter. Quarter time, St Kilda led by 8 points for the opening quarter. Second quarter, good quarter by Adelaide, add on 2 goals, and St Kilda with 1 goal for the quarter. Half-time break, Adelaide led by 4 points. Could we see Adelaide getting back-to-back wins, or is St Kilda home in the second half in wet footy? Third quarter, Adelaide and St Kilda kick 1 goal each for the quarter. Having low-scoring footy, it can be anyone's to win. 3/4 time, Adelaide led by 8 points. Final quarter, Adelaide took care of business with 4 goals and St Kilda kicked no goals for the quarter. Well done to Adelaide winning in front of your Adelaide Crows supporters. This was a huge win against good team in St Kilda. St Kilda heads up, it slipped away after quarter time. Good luck and play well against West Coast. I'm going to share the best player from Adelaide Crows and St Kilda. The best player from Adelaide Crows, Rory led, including 133 AFL fantasy, 31 disposals, 13 tackles, 7 clearances and 378 metres gained. The best player from St Kilda, Jack Steele, including 105 AFL fantasy, 19 disposals, 10 tackles, 5 marks, 4 clearances, 1 goal assist and 373 metres gained. Well done to Rory Laird from Adelaide Crows, and well done to Jack Steele from St Kilda. Time to get back on plane from Adelaide to Melbourne. We have arrived back to Melbourne and heading to the MCG for Melbourne taking on Essendon. Game 6, we have the second Saturday night footy in Melbourne at MCG. I am now going to do quarter by quarter, then the best player for Melbourne and Essendon. First quarter, both Melbourne and Essendon kicked 3 goals each for the opening quarter. Quarter time, Essendon led by 1 point. Second quarter, Melbourne with another 3 goals and Essendon with another 1 goal for the quarter. Half-time break led to Melbourne by 13 points. It's still anyone's to win. Third quarter, Melbourne with 2 goals and Essendon with 1 goal for the quarter. 3/4 time, 17 points led by Melbourne. Could Essendon come from 17 points at 3/4 time, or or is Melbourne too good at the MCG? Final quarter, lots of goals. Both Melbourne and Essendon kick 5 goals each for the final quarter and equals to 10 goals. Well done to Melbourne winning the win. Another awesome performance by Melbourne. Essendon, this was the win needed to stay in with the finals. Can have games slip away this time of the season, coming close to the finals. All the best next week against St Kilda. I'm going to share best player from Melbourne and Essendon. I'm going to share Melbourne best player Trent Rivers, including 126 AFL fantasy, 29 disposals, 8 marks, 7 tackles, 8 clearances and 460 metres gained. I'm going to share Essendon best player Nick Martin, including 143 AFL fantasy, 26 disposals, 9 marks, 4 tackles, 1 goal assist and 402 metres gained. Time to now head to Sunday footy, as we now head on the plane from Melbourne to the Gold Coast. Have arrived on the Gold Coast, and we head to the first out 3 Sunday afternoon footy. The first game is Gold Coast take on Port Adelaide. Game 7, we have arrived at People Frisk Stadium, known as PFS. I'm going to share quarter by quarter, and then best player from Gold Coast and Port Adelaide. First quarter, Port Adelaide good start with 3 goals, and Gold Coast with 2 goals for the opening quarter. Quarter time, Port Adelaide led by 4 points. Second quarter, Gold Coast great quarter, add on 6 goals, and Port Adelaide with 2 goals for the quarter. Half-time break, Gold Coast led by 17 points. Could we have Port Adelaide have a big second half? Third quarter, Gold Coast and Port Adelaide share the goals with 5 goals each for the quarter. Same as the half-time break at 3-quarter time, Gold Coast led by 17 points. Final quarter, not lots of goals for the quarter. Have Port Adelaide with 2 goals and Gold Coast with 1 goal for the quarter. Well done to Gold Coast winning again at home. Another for Gold Coast to have everything to make finals. Could we see Gold Coast to make finals? Yeah, I believe they can make finals this season. Port Adelaide, this game was the win for Port Adelaide to stay with the finals. They never given up all game. Good luck next week against Richmond. I'm going to share the best player from Gold Coast and Port Adelaide. I'm going to share the best player from Gold Coast, Noah Anderson, including 128 AFL fantasy, 1 goal, 29 disposals, 3 marks, 5 tackles, 11 clearances and 528 metres gained. I'm going to share Port Adelaide best player Connor Rose, including 104 AFL fantasy, 29 disposals, 4 marks, 5 tackles, 8 clearances and 441 metres gained. Well done to Noah Anderson, Gold Coast and Connor Rose from Port Adelaide on your game performance. Time head back on plane from Gold Coast back to Melbourne. Have arrived back in Melbourne and heading to MCG for Richmond take on GWS Giants for the second Sunday afternoon footy. Game 8, one more game till round 18 is complete. Well, as I said before, we are at the MCG for Tigers vs Giants. I am now going to share quarter by quarter. First quarter, GWS started well with 4 goals and Richmond with 3 goals for the opening quarter. Quarter time, GWS led by 5 points. Second quarter, GWS took another 5 goals and Richmond with another 3 goals for the quarter. Half-time break with having GWS led by 15 points. Could we see this an upset game? Let's find out now as we enter the third quarter. Third quarter, 5 goals to GWS GWS, and Richmond with 2 goals for the quarter. Three-quarter time GWS led by 31 points. Final quarter Richmond adds on another 4 goals and GWS with 2 goals for the quarter. Well done with GWS winning at the MCG, and Richmond, bad luck with the game in front of your Tigers supporters. Heads up, play well against Port Adelaide. I'm going to share best player from Richmond, Toby Nankervis, including 117 AFL fantasy, 22 disposals, 4 marks, 4 tackles, 36 hitouts, 5 clearances and 220 metres gained. I'm going to share best player from GWS Tom Green, 123 AFL fantasy, 37 disposals, 7 tackles, 3 mark, 4 clearances and 398 metres gained. Well done to Toby Nankervis from Richmond and Tom Green from GWS on your game performance. Time to fly to Perth, so let's get onto the plane from Melbourne as we head to Perth for the final game for round 18. Game 9. We're here in Perth now, heading to Optus Stadium. West Coast taking on Brisbane. What a game this was for both teams coming in. Now coach from West Coast, and as well Brisbane secured top 2 secured. We're getting close as we almost near the final series. I'm going to share quarter by quarter. First quarter Brisbane started well with 4 goals and West Coast with 3 goals for the opening quarter. Quarter time Brisbane led by 8 points. Second quarter 3 goals kick for both West Coast and Brisbane / half time break from 8 points to 10 points. Brisbane led the way. Third quarter Brisbane took control of the quarter with 5 goals and West Coast with 3 goals for the quarter. Three-quarter time 22 points led by Brisbane. Final quarter West Coast add on another 5 goals and Brisbane add on another 4 goals. Lots of goals from both teams, kicking 9 overall for the quarter. Well done Brisbane with the win. Big win this time of the season for Brisbane to continue. These are the win will secure spot in the top 2. With West Coast, well done on the home game performance. Yes, lost the game but ever given up against a very good team in Brisbane. Only 13 points against a good team in Brisbane is a very good. Heads up, play well next week against Fremantle in the 59th Western Derby. I'm going to share best player from West Coast, Tim Kelly, including 100 AFL fantasy, 1 goal, 29 disposal, 3 tackles, 2 marks, 3 clearances and 506 metres gained. I'm going to share best player from Brisbane, Oscar McIlhenny, 98 AFL fantasy, 16 disposal, 2 marks, 2 tackles, 43 hitouts, 9 B clearances, 2 goal assist and 325 metres gained. Well done to Tim Kelly from West Coast and Oscar McIlhenny from Brisbane on your game performance. Well, we have done BJ thoughts from round 17 and 18. Thank you to Aiden for his thoughts as well. That's another episode Sport Chat, the BJ Show. Hope you all enjoy it so far as we get close to the 2024 AFL Finals. Hope you all enjoy much as I love giving my thoughts, and Aiden as well. Anyway, thanks again, and we'll see you soon right on the Sport Chat, the BJ Show. Bye for now.